Welcome into the Outsider Sports Football Podcast. I'm Ben Mandel, and today joined by John Pauline. No Ryan Ballard, he's enjoying vacation, while Corey Jason enjoys some Double-A baseball, and who knows what Dylan's doing. But we are here. We're ready to rock out with all of you guys, and we've got some big news right away to start it. Packers, everybody saw them against the Eagles on Peacock Friday night, a Friday night football game. It was great for opening weekend, brought us right into college football Saturday. John, I'm sure you're happy that the Eagles were able to pull that one out. What were your thoughts
I
on that game?
I'm happy. Well, I mean, I don't get to watch a lot of NFL games usually throughout the season. Usually, you just catch games once in a while on Red Zone. But this
Mm-hmm.
one, I had my friend come over. We watched it on Peacock. He was a Packers fan. I'm an Eagles fan.
Yeah,
So
you
I
got to get
mean,
together for that.
it was good. I mean, they looked kind of sloppy. I mean, both a little sloppy to start the game off, but I mean that's a little bit to be expected, especially playing in Brazil and it being week one. And
Mm-hmm.
Eagles having a new center and all that. But I mean, they didn't look too bad. There's a lot to improve on. They look bad. Packers it was scary, a lot closer game than I think I thought. I don't know. I didn't think the Packers were going to be that good. But I mean, they seem really good. They have a lot of scary receivers. I mean, defense wasn't that bad. I mean, it was good. Eagles looked good. I'm really glad I got Barkley. He's looking like Penn State Barkley. He's looking like Penn State Barkley. I know it probably hurts you being being a Giants fan seeing him, but I mean, he got the hat trick.
They said that
So
nobody had a worse weekend than Joe Shane. And honestly, I agree with it, but we'll get into the Giants a little bit later. If you did watch that game, you noticed Jordan Love went down late. Malik Willis came in for the last play, which, by the way, I guess the Packers luckily were able to grab Malik Willis as he's their best option as a backup quarterback, the guy they traded for at the end of training camp. But uh, Malik Willis is likely going to be starting week 2 as Jordan Love. He's not going on IR, apparently has avoided serious injury, but he is going for more imaging. And it is likely going to be Malik Willis starting week 2. So already we have a quarterback going down and a backup quarterback having to come in and start. But still, going back to Sunday, we are going to talk about more of those games. We had some fireworks as the Los Angeles Rams went to Detroit, rematch of the divisional round last year, and boy, oh boy, did they deliver. And not divisional round, wild card round, rather. But Matt Stafford coming back, first regular season game in Detroit was an outstanding matchup. The Rams had to deal with tons of injuries. Puka Nacua, I believe 4 of their starting offensive linemen went down as well. They were on their third string tackle. It
that's
really
gonna
was
hurt
just,
them a
yeah.
lot.
But they kept this close, man. This was a very, very close, tight game. Honestly, probably the most fun to watch on Sunday. I think Friday's game with the fireworks we had on offense there, but we had some big plays. We had some physicality. Jamison Williams looks like he's ready to explode. Then Matt Stafford going over 300 yards. Jared Goff on the other side, only 217, but the running game. David Montgomery going for 91 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs added another 40 on 11 rushes. It was just a fantastic game to watch.
Unfortunately, I didn't get to watch it, but I saw a lot of the ramifications through fantasy. So but I mean, I think both teams. I mean, they're going to be good. I mean, obviously, injuries are going to set back the Rams quite a bit, especially offensive line, because I don't think a lot of people, fans, don't realize like the offensive line is probably one of the most important things on an NFL team, and I think often gets overlooked a little bit because I mean, you have a good O line. I mean, it doesn't really matter how good your running back is. I mean, good O line can make a average running back look great, make a great running back look amazing. So it hurts, and there's not a lot of replacements out for that.
No, there's not. And look, Kyron Williams, he was still able to put up 50 yards, but on 18 carries, that's not what he's accustomed to. Uh, Ronnie Rivers, 2 carries, Cooper Kupp, 2 carries, and Puka Nacua, 1 carry. The rest of it went to Kyron Williams. It was a really heavy passing attack because of that for Los Angeles. It's tough. We'll see. It was a tough week 1 matchup. Hopefully they could get healthy soon, as the Rams, they're one of my picks that I think can get to the Super Bowl this year. I think they've got a talented roster. I know Aaron Donald's gone, but that defensive line, Jared Verse looks great. So I'm excited to see what's going to come from the Rams. But now we're going to get into a bit of a game here, a bit of a fun way to try and recap a bit of week 1. We're not going to have every game here, but are they good or are they just really, really bad? And, the way we're going to do this, we're going to talk about a few of these matchups. Is this team really that good? Or was that team just really that bad? In some cases, it could be both. But, John, you and I are going to have fun with this. So first, we're going to get into this. Is Derek Carr back with the Saints? Or are the Panthers still the worst team in the league?
Well, both things can be true. I mean, both things can be true. I mean, I thought, Derek Carr, he might be back. I mean, it's hard, I mean, change of scenery. He's finally, getting to play. He's going to play there and, have a full season down there with the Saints, after, learn the playbook and all that. So, and the Panthers, frankly, they're bad. They're just not anything to do, bad on like Bryce Young. They just have a bad team around him.
They still don't have wide receivers for
They
him.
just have nothing. I mean, you just, I don't know what they expect out of them. I mean, they didn't put a team back, and I mean, they're just bad. They're really bad.
They're really bad. I know that you hope with the coach that things would turn around, but the ownership's the same. They got rid of their best defensive player in Brian Burns, so the defense, I mean, it was porous.
Well,
This
by
was a
far, their
horrible,
defense
horrible game.
is probably their best thing. I mean, look at offense, nothing really special by far. I mean, I think their defense was probably the best thing about them last season and this season. I mean, look how much over 40 points the Saints scored.
47 points in this game, 30 in the first half. I mean, Jake Haener came into this game to play quarterback. The Saints ran the ball over 30 times. Over 30 times. Almost 40 times in this game, the Saints ran the ball. It really was it was impressive to see, but at the same time, I have such low expectations for the Saints that I really think the Panthers are still the worst team in the league. And that's what happens when you're the worst team in the league and you don't have a first-round pick.
Yeah. I think they just I feel like they went in there was it like last year's draft? Going thinking Bryce Young was gonna solve all their problems, like they were gonna get him and then going to be good immediately, and it just doesn't work like that. I don't know. It always seems like you look at the teams who always who consistently do bad, and it always seems like the owner or someone else who shouldn't really be making some of the football decisions, is kind of meddling in there, and it just constantly happens. I mean, not saying Bryce Young's is like bad, like not good. It's just, I mean, you can only do so much.
No, exactly. And it's tough to really gauge Bryce Young.
Yeah.
And speaking of quarterbacks who didn't have the best start to their career, but all of a sudden, sounds like they are, this guy's getting back in the mix. That's Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold. The guy seeing ghosts in a Jets uniform. He looked fantastic against the New York Giants. Are the Vikings a legit playoff team with Sam Darnold at quarterback, or are the Giants this bad? Now, I have to preface by saying, look, the Giants, they rebuilt this defensive line. They were supposed to be killers, and they started the game great. Dexter Lawrence had a fantastic game still. But the secondary, which Corey and I screamed about this training camp, is the biggest problem. You could say all you want about Daniel Jones. He had a horrible game. I'm not going to say he didn't. But he got to a point where he knew he needed to score every drive because his secondary was so bad that the Vikings were just going to run away with this thing.
I mean, I think this is one where both can be true. Like, I mean, obviously I'm biased. I'm an Eagles fan, but and then one of my favorite players isn't on the team anymore. Saquon Barkley, one of my favorite players. I mean, for obvious reasons, but but I mean, the Giants just seem bad, and honestly, they might be the worst team in that NFC East this season.
Yeah, we'll see with the
Honestly,
Commanders
but
and them playing. I do think the Commanders have a lot of holes, and the Bucks really exploited that. But I
yeah,
also need to emphasize that the Vikings, although I was high on the Vikings, and it's going to come off a bit contradictory because I said in the preseason episode that we did on the NFC North that the Vikings under Sam Darnold do have the potential to be a winning football team. I did say that.
I think
And
that's fair.
I think it's definitely true. They're not this good. The Giants secondary was so bad. Deonte Banks is not a number one lockdown corner. That's what the Giants were hoping from him last year as the top pick, a first round pick in the 20th to 25 range. He's not. Okay, that's fine. Give him some help. 4th down and goal. 1-on-1 on an island with Justin Jefferson. Why? Why? That's just horrible, horrible football right there.
But I mean, I think the Vikings actually might be kind of good. I mean, how many times do you see quarterbacks have a change of scenery? Sometimes a couple times, and all of a sudden they just get on the team, stuff clicks. I mean, Darnold's throwing to some
Well,
good receivers now.
For Sam Darnold's sake, he didn't have a legit coach till he got to San Francisco in Kyle
Yeah,
Shanahan, and apparently Sam Darnold was the most sought after quarterback this offseason because everyone thought with Kyle Shanahan now he's unlocked it. And he goes to another great offensive mind in Kevin O'Connell, who I think is up there as a top 5 current coach in the NFL. I think him and Kevin Stefanski are two of the most underappreciated. I can't say underrated for Stefanski because he's won Coach of the Year a few times, but they are the more underappreciated coaches in the NFL. And O'Connell is a great offensive mind. He definitely is someone who can get the most out of his guys. It's what he's done in the past. It's what he did with Josh Dobbs for a few weeks, as long as he could last year. But I mean, the Vikings barely even had to show anything this week.
I mean, and don't forget Sam Darnold now. I mean, he's throwing the Justin Jefferson, one of the best receivers in the NFL.
That's a 3rd overall pick. He's
I
clearly
mean,
got talent.
so I mean, are they Super Bowl contenders? Are they playoff bound? Or but they're definitely gonna. I think definitely gonna put together a good season.
Yeah. Well, see here, a bit of a spoiler. Our next one. So all this talk about the Falcons this offseason, bringing in Kirk Cousins, drafting Mike Penix. They go out there and lay an egg against the Steelers. And look, our buddy James, big Steelers guy, working out there with the Steelers. So we give the Steelers all the love we can give them. But 10 points is not what I was expecting out of this Falcons team. You move on from Arthur Smith, you bring in a quarterback and Kirk Cousins. And I mean, to be quite honest with you, 155 yards and two interceptions, 1 touchdown for Cousins. That is a bad start to your Falcons tenure. He was outplayed by Justin Fields, who was the other option Atlanta could have went with. He was outplayed by Justin Fields, had more weapons than Justin Fields. But I guess the real question is here, are the Falcons still the same team offensively, not putting it together yet? Or are the Steelers really the true kings of the AFC North? Because say what you want about Pittsburgh, if their offense gets it right, this team is the best team in the AFC North because that defense is daunting. Minka Fitzpatrick and TJ Watt alone are enough to really scare you, but they've got great guys on both sides of the ball. The quarterback spot has been what they need to figure out. Justin Fields, although wasn't great, he didn't turn the ball over. 156 yards, was 17 of 23. So he only threw 6 incompletions. They ran the ball a ton. Justin Fields had 14 carries for another 57 yards, averaging 4 yards a carry. You know, you throw a few other guys in the mix. George Pickens was able to bring in 85 of Justin Fields' 156 yards. He's clearly one of his favorites there. But, I definitely think that the Steelers could be the best team in the AFC North, while the Falcons just had a really tough first week in Kirk Cousins' first game back off that Achilles injury.
I think, but the thing is, you're saying about how good the Steelers were, but I don't think the Steelers didn't score a touchdown.
No,
They didn't score a touchdown. It was all field goals.
Chris Boswell was 6 for 6, 57 was the longest there. Talk
He
about
put in a
a
ton of
fantasy
work.
day.
I think it was like over 20-something points in fantasy. But I mean, you're talking about how good this. Yeah, but you're talking about how good the Steelers were, and they're good. They have a crazy good defense. I mean, I think they have 2 good running backs. I mean, but it's like they didn't score any touchdowns. And I mean, for you think for how bad the Falcons were playing, and they couldn't score a touchdown. Not one. Not even one touchdown. All field goals. At least the Falcons scored a touchdown. I'm just saying. And plus, I mean, you're at the point where Cousins hasn't played football in a while, coming off the injury, and new team, everything. So, I mean, I don't know if it's the same offense. Might look the same the first couple of weeks until they get rolling and clicking. But to say that the Steelers are the true kings of the North, I cannot get behind that.
Look,
I can't.
Obviously, everything we're going over here, it's week 1 overreactions. It's just a fun way to do this.
Yeah.
But look, I think that the Falcons are going to Falcon. And
I think Kyle Pitts is going to have this is going to be Kyle Pitts' year.
It really
the best
is.
Tight
Look,
end.
He's already got a touchdown, so
he got the Falcons. He got the only touchdown in that game, by the way. That's tight end in the league.
So what I do want to harp on with the Steelers here, even though they didn't score a touchdown, and I know the Falcons defense is what needs work. That's supposed to be a weakness on that team. They were able to consistently move the ball into field goal range. They were able to drive the field a bit. They were able to run the football, and they didn't turn it over. The reason you didn't score touchdowns is because you didn't need to. At that point, they're telling Justin Fields, look, we're running. That's the game plan. We're going to protect the football. If we need to let you sling it, you'll sling it. It's not like Justin Fields is a stranger to Atlanta, Georgia. So the guy can go out there and play. We'll see if Russell Wilson ends up being the starter for week 2 because he was officially named the starter. It's not like Justin Fields went out and played a killer game.
No.
But he definitely did enough in the run game that they are going to use packages. That's what they've been saying that they're going to do for a while with, the Steelers and their quarterback situation all season.
Honestly, I talked to my friend a lot about this, me and him talk about, and it's just like, you just think that the Steelers should just go for broke and just run Justin Fields. It's like continuously. Don't be afraid if he's going to get hurt or anything. Just run him. Don't be afraid. Use him, because that's his best thing. And frankly, it's hard to defend against a quarterback that can run as well as he can.
Yeah,
so I would just go broke.
The only guy I would say can run better than him at the quarterback position would be Lamar Jackson.
Absolutely.
Justin Fields is an insane athlete. He's really, really good. But with that, we're going to move on to our next matchup here to go over. The Miami Dolphins and Jacksonville Jaguars. Is Miami legit? Was that a legit comeback? Was that a legit, able to force the turnover, turn the momentum? Or are the Jaguars just reaching master choke artists at this point? Because you get to the playoffs, you're playing the Chargers, you have a huge lead against it was the Chargers that had a big lead against the Jaguars. They won that game. They then, playing well against the Chiefs, lose that game. Big lead in the division last year. Choke that away. What is going on with Jacksonville? I mean, ETN, they're about to go up 3 scores, by 17. Etienne's going into the end zone, and Javon Holland, fantastic play, punches the ball out, and turns the game completely around because then Tyreek Hill turns around and gets that 80-yard touchdown. So is Miami legit? Because that is creating your own luck in a sense.
Mm.
That's the defense making a play and Tyreek Hill burning you. But also, Jacksonville cannot let Tyreek Hill behind you at that point.
No, I mean, I think this is one of the ones out of all the ones we did where this is probably where both things are probably true. With Jacksonville being the biggest chokers in the NFL and the Dolphins just being legit. I mean, I think this is one of them where I can confidently say that I agree with both. Like, you can be both of these things confidently. I mean, but it's not Jacksonville's not bad. It's like they're good, but they just can't. They can't go. I mean, did you see that pass that Lawrence threw
to Thomas?
Thomas Jr.?
Oh my God, it was a beautiful.
Oh, that was so nice. And then they still lose.
Well, and then not to mention the fact Trevor Lawrence did also have a ball thrown, would have been a touchdown catch, but there's pass interference. His passer rating, if that ball was just caught rather than the pass interference, would have been a 120. So Lawrence played a great game. His team around him kind of choked. I actually think that this is more the Jaguars being a choke artist than Miami being legit. Because
I think Miami's legit. I mean, they're good. I mean, they need
to show me something against the Bills this week because the Bills are not a team that, the Bills are not a team that should be as feared as they are. They don't have the weapons. You saw what just happened against Arizona. I mean, Arizona was kicking their heads in, and Josh Allen just decided I'm going to run the ball all over the place, and that's where they ended up winning. But you're going to have a banged up hand on Josh Allen. You're going to be at home for the Dolphins. This is a huge game. You have to turn around and win this one. I don't care that it's Thursday night. They're banged up. They're the weaker, thinner roster. Miami is not, even though overreaction, I can't even overreact and say Miami's legit just yet.
I'm overreacting, and I'm saying I'm not overreacting. I'm reacting accordingly and saying Miami is legit.
Fair enough.
That's
well, on to our last game that we really want to talk about here, and this is the Dallas Cowboys. Is Dallas finally ready to win? Or are the Browns really this bad, especially with Deshaun Watson under center? We saw the Browns got better with P.J. Walker and Joe Flacco.
Deshaun Watson's bad. That's end of the
Deshaun
Watson's bad. That's it. He's bad. He's not. He had a couple good seasons. The Texans didn't play football. Came back somehow, scammed the Browns out of giving him this crazy guaranteed contract.
Which I don't know. I saw Nick Wright breaking this down on First Things First the other day. Do you realize how much of that they've actually borrowed from the future to pay already?
That'd be a lot.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they've paid him 130 so far, but only 50 of it's against the cap.
They're just
they kick the can so far down the road that the Browns are really, really in bad shape with this Deshaun contract because all this guaranteed money, it's coming later, it's all going on the cap later, and you've gotten nothing out of it when you needed to get something out of it.
It's just, I mean, obviously, I think they're better off just keeping Baker.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, he was just banged up. He was just hurt. I mean, I don't think it was 2020. I think anyone.
I'm saying hindsight's 2020. You can look back and see that, but
they could have. They didn't need to go back. You could have. I saw it at the time. Baker was hurt. Should have kept Baker. I don't need the 2020 hindsight to see that they should have kept them. They should have just. They're bad. The Browns are bad with the thing, and I mean, and the Cowboys are still choke artists.
You can't say Texans Deshaun Watson was not.
He was good.
He was right behind Patrick Mahomes at that point. I mean, you can argue it was him over Josh Allen. He was the dude.
But I
when
mean,
he
look
was
how
with the Texans.
look, I mean, just saying, look at quarterbacks. I mean, look at Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz was having an MVP season, probably going to be MVP that year. Got hurt, never was the same again, and now he's scraping by as a backup. I mean, the fall offs happen. They
No,
happen.
they really do. And look,
I
for
mean,
Deshaun, it's a combination of injury and then not playing for so long. It really is
and he
just
might be in
it's tough.
trouble again.
I saw another civil suit has come
I
up.
don't know. I don't want to talk about that, but because I don't really know about it, but he might be in trouble again.
Yeah, I mean, it's just unbelievable. And
I don't know.
that's apparently 2020 this one's from, so it's
So
after
who
all
knows?
the other ones came out. Again, I don't know details either, but let's go over to the other team here. I know we hate talking about
Dallas.
Dallas as NFC East fans of other teams, but I have to say Dallas looks really good. They
They
move the
always
ball
look
at
good
will.
though.
No, 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 no,
They
not this good.
do. They I mean, but
Do you know how
they
many
look
points?
good.
Do you know how many points Cleveland's defense gave up last year at home per game?
I have no, I can't tell you at all.
13. 13. They were the best team at home defensively last year. They got wiped by a team that had no running back, and their wide receiver barely played and didn't play at all in training camp. No preseason games. A quarterback who they extended the morning of the game, and they went out and just moved the ball at will all over him. Cleveland couldn't stop him. Where was Myles Garrett? Nowhere to be found.
I'm
Cleveland's defense looked horrible. Denzel Ward was the only guy who looked like he was even trying to play. But I mean, it was honestly putrid from Cleveland. This is what you're used to seeing from them in the past before Kevin Stefanski. I couldn't believe how bad Cleveland's defense looked.
I still think it's a case of just Cleveland is bad and Dallas is a good team. So I mean, the bad
I
team makes a good team look great.
Look, Deshaun Watson can make the offense as bad as he wants. That defense carried them last year and
I
carried them to
mean,
the playoffs. That defense is still mostly the same. You have Dalvin Tomlinson anchoring the middle,
players
Myles
get
Garrett on the edge,
older.
Denzel Ward as a corner. They have players on this defense, but they just did not show up for the home opener. It's
But
just crazy to me.
I mean, when your offense is
Crazy.
playing that bad, do you want to show? Do you want to, like you lose morale? Players get older.
No, I have to say though,
I'm just saying.
I was impressed with what Zeke Elliott was doing. Zeke looked really good.
Yeah,
He looked
I gotta give.
slim. He
I
looked a
gotta give
lot
it
slimmer
to.
than he did in New England.
I gotta give it to Zeke. I mean, I didn't think he was gonna be. I thought he was washed up, but
And
clearly
look,
I
it's
was
not
wrong.
like he only ran the ball 10 times, but 40
But
yards and a touchdown. He also,
that's not
he
bad. I
brought in a
mean,
couple of passes. Look, he's averaging 4 yards a carry. It's
that's
fantastic.
not bad. I
The
mean,
problem is you're going to need to get 10 carries out of other people. I like how Mike McCarthy got creative and ran CeeDee Lamb on a few jet sweeps. The guy picked
I
up
think you're gonna
25
see that
yards
more.
on 3 sweeps.
I think you're gonna see that more, and I think that's just a case of you want to get the ball into your best player's
Hmm.
hands, and CeeDee Lamb, I think, is their best player on offense.
Oh, for sure. Because look, if
So, and you're
CeeDee
gonna
Lamb
want
isn't
to
a part of this
find,
offense, they're
yeah,
nothing.
and you're gonna want to find creative ways to get your best player the ball, and if it has to be jet sweeps and stuff like that, that's what it's gonna be. I mean, they're gonna find the way to get CeeDee Lamb the ball so he can make the plays.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's it for our funness of are they good or are they just really bad? John, that was a fun one. I did enjoy playing that one, but
That was a good
now
one.
it's time for the outsiders of the week. We're bringing it back, baby. So for me, I'm going with Alexander Madison on the offensive side of the ball. He had a pretty strong week one. I believe the only touchdown for the Raiders. He was able to no, actually, not a touchdown. I'm pretty sure he brought something in, but he had a big play, huge week for Alexander Madison. Defensively, I'm going with Julian Love, the safety for the Seahawks. Forced fumble, interception, double-digit tackles. The guy was a machine. He was tormenting Bo Nix and that Broncos offense. I'm sure Sean Payton seeing Julian Love in his sleep. He's my defensive outsider of the week.
I'm gonna go with my offensive guy, who probably, I mean, a lot of people probably didn't even see this coming because it was a late scratch from Christian McCaffrey in the game, and Jordan Mason got the start for the 49ers, and he had 28 attempts for 147 yards, 5.3 like 5.3 average on the runs, one touchdown. His longest run was 24 yards, and he also had one catch for 5 yards. So I mean, I think that's a pleasant surprise for
especially against that Jet defense. Robert
yeah. Look,
Sala's return to San Francisco, horrible.
the Jets defense looked bad. They looked bad, and Jordan Mason's probably that's a pleasant surprise for Niners fans there. And I mean, I'm sure he's going to be he's going to be a hot commodity in fantasy this week for the waiver wire. On
Oh, I'm sure,
defense,
especially because, like, oh,
yeah,
what if McCaffrey can't go again?
that's the thing. Yeah, you don't know how long he's going to be out. Now on defense, I got a Bears player. Tyreek Stevenson is the cornerback. He had a pick six, went 43 yards for a touchdown, and 2 tackles. Like the Bears defense was just amazing though. So he was there's just one of the many Bears defensive players that contributed to their win.
Yeah, honestly, a fantastic job by the Bears to pull out a win in Caleb Williams' debut, who we didn't even touch on, which is
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
impressive.
He
Caleb
didn't really
Williams
have
was he was the worst quarterback of the week in terms
yeah,
of production, under
but he got the
100
win.
yards. He got the win, and I think honestly that's more impressive for the Bears because it shows you that Caleb Williams doesn't have to go out there and be a superstar. He can be
He doesn't
calm.
even
He can,
yeah.
you know, he can go out, do his thing. But now, last thing that we want to get on here, let's just highlight one of these games coming up this week that's not a prime time game. So, which game are you looking forward to most this week that's not in prime time?
I'm gonna pick a game because well, two of my friends' favorite teams. One of them it's gonna be the Colts Packers game for Ryan, mainly because he's not here. So I'm gonna do the Colts Packers. Plus, it's a game to see if the Colts can turn it around here against kind of a banged up, Packers team with Jordan Love. I think probably being out, right? I think we talked about that at the start of the like before we start the
Yep,
podcast, and
Jordan Love out.
Malik Willis is going to get the start. Who they basically signed, right at the end of preseason there, and put Clifford back down to the practice squad. So, I mean, Luke Wilson, hasn't had a lot of time with the playbook and everything, and he didn't look very good at the end there when he came in the Eagles game. I mean, didn't even get the ball off for the Hail Mary and just took a sack.
He had one throw
I
and couldn't
mean,
even get rid of it. He had time to do it
and
too.
he has an arm, and he has an arm
How
from what I'm aware of. My friend Josiah is the Packers fan, said that he has a good arm, and he didn't even launch it down the field. So, I mean, it's gonna be an interesting
yeah,
game.
that's you have one throw in the game, and that's what
So
you
it's
do.
gonna be,
That's just disappointing to me. Yeah, a couple of 0-1 teams that probably shouldn't be 0-1 just ran into some tough opponents. I'm going to highlight a couple of 1-0 teams, the Seahawks and Patriots. Patriots stunning everybody, beating Cincinnati, going into Cincinnati, winning that game. I know it's pretty typical for the Bengals to lose in the opener at this point, but I was impressed that New England was able to do it because everybody took Cincinnati for their survivor pools. And it's kind of funny to see them knocked right away, but I think that I'm excited to see if the Patriots can build on offense because Gerard Mayo seems to have the defense figured out. That's important. They looked great against Cincinnati and Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. I know Jamar Chase is on a snap count, but we'll see. Jamar Chase will probably be out next week and T. Higgins will be in. So who knows how that's going to go, but Patriots Seahawks, I think that's a fun one to watch in that 1 o'clock window if you don't feel like watching Packers Colts, because that is going to be a great one too, John.
yeah. You can flip back and forth on the
But
channels.
yeah, that's where you're going to need Red Zone, but
Yeah.
that's going to do it for us here on the Outsider Sports Football Podcast. John, we thank you for jumping on today. I know a little last minute. We're a little
Yeah.
shorthanded. We made it
I'm
work. We
usually
figured
on
it
the
out, though.
baseball podcast. I get on the football one maybe once or twice a year when I need to fill in.
Yeah, exactly. But hey, you're great today. We thank you all for listening. Ryan and the rest of the crew will be back next week. So don't worry. You're not going to have to look at this ugly mug the whole time. But we'll be back next week, and we can't wait to see what happens in week 2 of the NFL season.